In this second short video, we show how to make a pivot table from the database that you have built. To summarize, recall what we have done. So at the left we have a table with all games scraped from Metacritic website. So each row in this table is a game. It can be on a different tier, platform, etc. Interestingly, the genre column in this table is composite, so it is composed of multiple category names. So, for instance, action, comedy, drama, etc. So, how do we process such work? Therefore, we made a second table, genres in games, because the genre column is composite. We have to split it up and make a second table, genres in games, which is much longer than this one. So for each game in the games table, we created rows in which the genre is split out to new rows. That's why the table is much longer. So a game, for example, The Sims in games, it will be one row in games. However, if it has three different categories, it will have three genres, so three rows in genres in games. That game Sims. So the URL will be metacritic.com/sims, and also in genres games, the URL will be metacritic.com/sims. So in order to do the analysis from single category genre labels, we further use this table genres in games as input to create a genre table in which all the labels are just mentioned once. So this is the table to the right. This genre table we will use as an entry point to make the pivot table. Note that from right to left we go with the arrow from genre to genres in games. So it will be very easy to list the attributes in the table in the middle in a pivot table that is started from genre. However, if we want, for example, a Metascore or user score also in the table, we need to do a trick with a DAX function, which is called InRelated, because we work against the arrow between the left two tables. Yeah. So that's why we have to do a related in the middle table. So let's proceed with making the pivot table. There are different options. So let's, for convenience, make the last one. So we drop it somewhere. This is the interface for making the pivot table. So we start with just listing the names in rows. So these are all the game genre single labels. Then let's count how many games each genre has. So we can do that by just, for example, count the number of URLs in this table in the middle. We can sort this with the more sort option, decreasing count of URL. Right, so apparently there's a genre called general, which is most common, and after that it's action, puzzle, adventure, etc. So now let's proceed by including some numerical data from the games table. And in order to do that, so if you would drag Metascore here to the value field, then you will see that an arrow will occur at the right top of the screen. You see that the Excel creates an error warning message saying that there are possibly relations between tables necessary. So this is not the case because we already have relations between the tables. So the problem is caused by that we operate against the flow of the arrow. So that's why we have to do the trick with the DAX formula. Yeah, so we have to remove this again. Then we go to the Power Pivot panel. We go to the data view. Then we go to the middle table. And we enter the DAX table by just selecting an arbitrary row here to the right. You can select whatever one and you start typing is related parentheses and then the one that you need. So conveniently you see that there's already the column names of the table to the left, the games table, is appearing. Yeah, in this case we want Metascore. And we have to close the parentheses and click enter. Then it will fill in the actually the values that it finds in the left table in the middle table. So we are actually copying data from the left table to the middle table as a trick to be able to generate a meaningful report from the database. Okay, so let's conveniently call this related, what is it? Metascore. Yeah, so that when we add more columns, we will not be getting confused. So now let's go to the view again of the pivot table. And now we will not select the Metascore from the games table, but from the genres in games table. So if we move that to there, what is actually doing it is what is taking place now under the hood of the database. So for each genre that you see here, it is actually Excel is counting the number of games in the second row, and in the third row it is actually summarizing the Metascore for each of these games in the third row. So you can also maybe check the average of the games. So you can just drag in another time to the table and then change the field, the attribute options, and you can check the average, for example, also standard deviation. So really nice statistical measures. Yeah, and then you can order by, for example, what is the game that has the highest Metascore from all users. So if you would sort on this column, you will get the genre that has the games with highest user scores, Metascores, for summed over all the games. Okay, so let's do that. Declining sum. Then we see again that it is obviously the general genre has the most games. Actually, there are 35,000 games in it, the general, and so the sum of Metascore will be very high. So in order to better determine what is the winning genre, you should kind of standardize the scores based on the amount of games perhaps in each genre. Alright, hopefully this is helpful to preparing pivot tables from your database. So interestingly, you can include in the pivot table data coming from different tables, and because we have relations between the tables, the data flows conveniently structured in the database. That's all. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.